right, we are live at Pace Studio with LA Salami. He's going to play a few songs for us this afternoon. Hi, how are you?
I'm alright. How are you?
I'm good. Excited to hear what you've got for us this afternoon. Will you tell us a little about the first song you're going to play?
It's called Day to Day for 6 days a week, and it's dedicated to anyone who wakes up and just doesn't want to do it, or anyone who has a job and doesn't want a job, or anyone who doesn't have a job and needs a job.
Anyone who just got back from South by Southwest?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. That's how it kind of encapsulates this.
Really? Were you stuck in the room filming as well?
Yes.
Oh man, it sounded great filming, but the festival itself was like, it was my first time. It was everything I thought it would be.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'll ask you some more about that once in a moment.
Took the bus, took the train, went to work, ignored the pain. What a rainy day. Friendly faces got dragged around all types of places. Closed my eyes, smelt your hair, looked around, but you weren't there. Had some lunch, jacket potatoes, chicken wings and fried tomatoes. After that, lit a fag, said a prayer and took a drag. These days I toast never do combust so much. I burn for the both of us though. Second day, second job, passing thought for the world to stop. Shoes are too tight, feet are aching, cold and sick, but I was faking. When I do go, I am late. Always make the same mistake. That mistake being not caring. 6 days a week, can't find my bearings. But to be fair, I might have cared. Might have cared if you were there. Might have cared if you were there. Might have cared if you were there. Stressed as hell, fatigued as fuck, putrid passion, rotten luck, worked to death, chomping at the bit, crazed as Christ and broke as shit. Watched the news, someone died, saw the mother, teary-eyed, son shot dead on Wharf Road. I thank God, no one I know. I went to work for the NHS, mental health, people depressed, met Joanne, scared of living, afraid of dying, terrified of being. Then met Paul, schizophrenic, shaking limbs, paranoid fanatic, unwashed 10 days in a row, so afraid, almost paralytic. I tell them that I do the same in certain moods on certain days, but despite the sane ways I could think, I could not do much to convince them. Back to base, had a meeting, 2 kids die a week cause their parents beat them. I wish I could say I was surprised. The news just choose which ones to highlight, choose which ones to highlight. DLR, took the tube, read a book, nothing else to do. Read Jill Hicks, she survived the bombings. Wrote a book, made a killing. I read somewhere that some lost their legs. Umpteen injured, 52 dead. In some places far away. That shit happens every day. Now scared of buses, scared of trains, but got to get to work some way. So I play with my life, you could say. But don't we all, don't we all, don't we all, don't we all? I got a gig, got myself booked just down the road. When it got juked, I get to sing my joys and sorrows. Not made it yet, maybe tomorrow. I closed my eyes, saw your face, looked around, you were no place. I feel so left out when you're not around. I feel so left out when you're not around. But you are time and I'm life, and time's a tyrant unto strife. And strife's the type of life I seem to lead, and time won't heal this wound easily. Take your light, your shattered passions. I hear your talk, I see your actions. What I don't see are your eyes, those flaming symbols of the night. Was that your skin that I saw on the road my ruin wore? Were you wearing that paisley I adore? Were you hatred? Were you lust? You understand this cause you must. That men have the consistencies of love and war through history. I must see you, I must know. Did you falter, did you go? 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 Did you go?
That was great. So before you started, we were talking a little bit about how you had just come back from South by Southwest as well. And what was it was your first experience, and anything in particular stand out to you about the experience, good or bad?
Not particularly, nothing bad really. Like nothing bad at all. I saw Weaves. Have you heard of Weaves? I think they're from Virginia. I can't be sure.
I'm weaving a dress.
Yeah,
I've heard of them.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
If you haven't seen them live, that was my first time hearing or seeing them. It was amazing. I really loved that band. In terms of bands, that stood out. In terms of the experience, just everything about it. It was nice. It was concentrated on 6th Street. It was the madness.
Yeah.
Of
Mardi
a
Gras.
festival vibe, but we didn't spend too much time in there unless we had to play. But because just outside of it was more of you got more of an Austin vibe.
Yeah.
Mixed with the madness, I guess.
Did you have a chance to eat any barbecue?
Yeah, we got some barbecue. Not at the place we were supposed to though. We went out and drove around. We had I can't remember the name of the barbecue, but we did go to what's it called? It's, something Lane, like a diner, 24-hour diner, and we one of us got chicken steak.
So like a chicken fried steak or
chicken
something?
fried steak, yeah. It's I mean, it tasted good, but you know, it's too much. Too much is too much, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you sort of have to detox from all the heavy foods you eat after.
Yeah.
You just sort of decide to go on a juice cleanse, even if you don't really believe in juice cleanses. Like I don't, like me, I don't really believe in juice cleanses. But if there's ever a time that I do, it's after South by. Well, I'm glad that you could still make it here to join us. Will you tell us about the next song you're going to play?
It's called My Thoughts They Too Will Tire. It's about everything.
Cool.
Especially now, it's about everything. Yeah.
Leave your answers for the bones. It's not just you alone who knows that the shadows neath the road won't last forever. But listen in the meantime, though, as the cannons and the noon explode, and the statesman and the pauper pass by together. And as the gunman, blinded by the sun, aims for the sky and the fires that side as vision, his hands are tied to the eyes of the children's minds, and the line of knives that bind time with every incision. And as they pull on the noose that his bullets and their ruthlessness have inspired, my hands, they too will tire. From the leaking pores of the piss poor to the royal blood drawn from old folklore, each a man made born, lord or torn from a mother. And there'll be one who'll bleed the other dry, with aspirations not to die, but the death means no more or less than any other. As the miners of kindness pried deep into the weeping trials, provided by the gold torch left bare and unprotected, the blazing hands of the dog-eat-dog bands only wishes not to go to the grave without being respected. And as they look upon the angel choir who sing songs so far from what they desire, my eyes, they too will tire. As excursions wane the jester's game to trick weep the lands for others' gains, now money maintains the way in which they suffered, which which once was clear, row of arms and chains, would now appear as nothing changed, restrained by wages. The sovereign slaves wage war on each other. And as the suits and sullied saints taint the buck that Lady Luck struck with a hunter armed with hunger, he's fed to death with one hand and led along with the other towards the wealth that she'll bury him under. And as he ponders his position, with the condition of his sanity seems dire, my mind, it too will tire. If man made God, then God judged man. Then man should God of both God's hands. Then whose divine right is it to write the laws that govern? The strongest arm, the loudest bark, the button brace for Exodus dark, both right and wrong have masters marked above them. And as the crusader wraps himself in his flag of stars to mask his moral scars and his marred ambition, the cross is burned not only in his field of graves, but in the minds of those men ashamed of their old traditions. And as they call into the wind in the hopes to catch the ear of their guilty Messiah, my voice, it too will tire. The ancient pen of speech rewrites the erudite machine of night, while the TV quotes the quills which makes them martyrs. Ideas, ideals, idols augment a clear intent of war's descent, each an idiom of truth that can't be bartered. And as the gas mask masters cast a cloud around the crowd, they're heard to heaven. Preachers and the guzzlers will both agree that a country can't be great without a weapon. And as they bleed into the wine glasses of the heroes they've all been taught to admire, my heart, it too will tire. You'll observe it as the road unfolds, that what you live is what you know, and each brick that has no tears to flow in tatters. And I lose my strength to put to words an attempt at truth drawn undisturbed by right or wrong, or if it even matters. And on the stone where the prophet loaned his eyes to the passers-by and contemplated what they could acquire, they celebrate the haze which marks the day, one way in which the greys won't raise any higher. And as they laugh at how the colours of their visions burn bright as holy fire, my hatred too will tire. I said hatred, it too will tire.
That was great. So yeah, we're here with LA Salami, and those were a couple of beautiful songs that we just heard. And I'd like to quickly talk about the album you put out last year called Dancing with Bad Grammar, and that was your debut. And it got some really nice words from Bob Boylan himself on NPR. That must have felt great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it felt worth it.
Yeah. Well, so just for those who don't know and who are less familiar with your background, will you just sort of tell us how you became familiar with playing music and what you kind of reached for first and when, and who you listened to that made you want to be a musician, and really just sort of anything from prior to this album's release that you'd like to share with us.
Well, music had always been part of my world, if you like, but I always imagined I'd be a filmmaker. But film to me is like the amalgamation of all the major art forms that led up to its creation in the 20th century. And music is just a vital form of it. For example, like Tarantino, one of the elements of his films is like the score, or not the score, but the soundtrack. And like, so to me, I was always interested in making music, and I'd always make up songs in my head, but primarily I'd be like, I was a poet. Like I wrote poetry and stuff. But I never really made music until like I was in my early 20s, and like I got given a guitar by my friend, and like it was a hobby. And then I was working in the underground film industry, just working my way up to becoming like a first AD and stuff, or first assistant director, if people don't know what that means. And just working in all the departments and all that stuff. So that was my main goal, and music was like a hobby. And then I just thought, these songs that I'm writing, because that's how I learnt guitar. I learnt by writing songs, because I'm quite impatient, so and a romantic and an idealist, so it all added up. So yeah, and then it just got to a point where I was thinking, I should perform these maybe, or these are worth performing, and then it just spiraled into like doing it. It becoming like the main art form, or the gateway drug to all the things I want to do. So
Do you still have film aspirations? Would you go back to that at some point?
Yeah, like I feel like this music is the perfect pathway to doing all that stuff. So you get to make the videos, you get to be, because these days music, I suppose, or working your way up in music isn't just about making music anymore. It's like more about social media content and all that stuff. So you get to be creative in that sense, and people want to see visuals with music these days. So get to flex those muscles.
Just about creating content.
Well, that's I suppose that's another.
That's a very simplified way of putting it. I understand what you're saying. Well, you've got one more for us. Will you tell us a little about it before you play it?
The song is called "I'll Tell You Why," and it's on an EP that's currently out at the moment called "Lookman and the Bootmakers." And yeah, I suppose it's self-explanatory in the words, but Lookman and the Bootmakers. The Bootmakers, my name's Lookman, and the Bootmakers are the band, and it just describes the sound, I guess. tell you why.
Flattened diametrics of scope and taste expound my face as my darling slams the phone down. She was starved of love and might, have just really needed reassurance sex that night. But conjecture I made in spite really brought the mood down. Show me income based on reprieving. I'll tell you why life has no meaning. The muse unwraps her mother's cloak, regrets revokes the sin she spoke. She likes Bestoke, but she'll just have to wear what she can find now. And now a bomb, her daughter gone, her brother lost, at the cost of whom remains comes down to who pays the highest price not to suffer. Show me torment that's met with treason. I'll tell you why her son stopped breathing. On the shoreline lay an empty shell. What was a boy, his body quelled. He ran from hell for help, but got told he ain't got the right papers. What is this, a home or hell? A plot of grass or a private cell? Can you not tell that the riot spell is total? It won't last. When the highest powers do most of thieving, I'll tell you why I feel like leaving. When there's headless masterhoods and no one's grieving, I'll tell you why I need no reason.
Thank you.
All right, that was great.
Cool.
Well, before we let you go, will you tell us where we can see you next?
I'm playing tonight in Rockwood Music Hall in New York, in Room 3, and then in London, April the 6th, which should be a really good show. I got the band with me, the Bootmakers, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to both of those, you know. But the longer set will be in London. So if you find yourself in London, come to that.
Cool. Yeah. So that's tonight at Rockwood Music Hall in New York, and your Facebook said it was around 7. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that it's around. It is at 7. Cool. Well, thank you so much again for being here with us today. Really enjoyed it. And we hope we'll get to catch up again.
Thanks for having me.